Here we are messing around with the maps again, and this is where we left on our last movie and trying to have a look on the map for the Taj Mahal. So let me stop this app running on an iPhone 6 simulator, and I haven't touched the code much apart from this 0.01, that's the zoom level, a bit more zoom level so that we can see the Taj Mahal quite nicely out there. Okay, so in order to add a pin, now first of all, what we are trying to do, you might have already encountered that, but sometimes in iOS app, we want to mark a location and that location comes as a red pin out there. Now, I like to call that as a pin because it looks like a pin, but a lot of people call that as an annotation because that's the technical term, and you might be searching on websites like Stack Overflow or any other blog help. But again, it depends on your preference, and I like to call it as simply the red pin, and you should be calling that as an annotation. And make sure that you also keep it as a 0.01 so that it looks good. Otherwise, it's your choice, nothing to be compulsion out there. And what we want to do, that whenever you want to have simple pin out there in your map application, make sure that all of the tasks that we have done so far is kind of a compulsion. You need to have location at least. And in order to show the map on the screen, the span is also necessary. But to add a pin, span is not a compulsion, but to display the map, the span is compulsion. So we need location, and location is made up of two things. We already know that by the line number 25, that it's built up of latitude and longitude. So let's try to set up the pin. It's nothing extraordinary that we cannot do. It's just a very short line of code. So let's try to have a pin variable. You can have it, you can call it anything, but I would like to call it as pin, and it should be the type of, or it should be an object of the class mk point annotation. So let me have that, mk point annotation. So this is the guy we are looking for, and making this like that. Okay. So our pin is ready. Now pin needs the coordinates to actually point out somewhere. So I'll call it as pin dot coordinate, and that should be equal to location because we already have a location and that consists of latitude and longitude. So that is going to be working fine in this case. And annotation also have two properties, the title and the subtitle. Now it depends. If you want to have a subtitle, that's okay. If you don't want to have that, that's okay as well. So let me access the property by pin.title, and that can be set as in string. So it's really simple. So I'll call it as the Taj Mahal, and that's it. I can also add the subtitle, so I can have the subtitle. Again, this is a string, and you can call it anything. I will call it as amazingly beautiful, and it's really, if you have visited, have come to India, you will realize that I'm not lying about that. Okay. Quite apart from that, now only thing that you need is to add the annotation. So in order to add that, you need to access, no, not the pin, you need to access the map. So I'll call it as map dot add annotation, and you can see it takes in parameter, and this parameter is actually the variable of mk point annotation type. So what is that? Yes, you guessed it right, it's the pin. And I think that's it. That's all what we need. Quite impressive and quite simple. Let me run that on the Taj Mahal app. And here is our app, and you can see, we can see a nice big red pin out there. And that's the reason I call it as a pin, but annotation is again a good name for that. And if I click on that, it says the Taj Mahal, amazingly beautiful. But one thing is still remaining in our app. Let's say I like the Taj Mahal, but the garden near the Taj Mahal is also good, and I want to access the property. Like if I click and hold out there, just like a long press, and I want to add a pin based on that. So in the next movie, we'll talk about that. Now also, if I hit Command Shift and H out there, you can see I have added a nice and beautiful image of the Taj Mahal. So I'm not going to tell you how I did that again because I have discussed that already in my previous one of the movies. So it is your task. Just add the image, any image, not this image. Just Google around, take any Taj Mahal picture, convert that with all the size and try to add that. That's not a very big task. I hope everyone can do that. Now let's move on to the next movie and try to understand how we can add the long press when we can simply press on anywhere and can add the pin based on that. Okay, so let's do that.